Audrey Hepburn's life unfolds like a masterful symphony, each note rising from the murky depths of a troubled childhood into the brilliant glow of Hollywood's golden era. This is not a mere story of fame, but an intimate odyssey where every trial, every quiet act of defiance, and every tender moment of love becomes a testament to the art of transcending adversity. In the early hours of a grey, uncertain morning in post-war Brussels, a fragile candle flickered against the chill of despair. It was in that modest Ixelles neighbourhood, where every street held echoes of loss and every corner bore witness to whispered hope, that Audrey Hepburn was born, not merely into a world of survival, but into one that would soon be transformed by the quiet power of a single soul. Audrey's first memories are painted in hues of muted struggle and secret tenderness. In a humble apartment, her mother, her anchor amid uncertainty, gently rocked her to sleep with lullabies that spoke of a future brighter than the present could ever be. Her father, a man whose distant eyes held both regret and fierce pride, rarely spoke of dreams, yet his silence was filled with the unspoken promise that the world could be remade. In those early years, the clamour of a city recovering from war intermingled with the quiet determination of a child. Every shared meal, every whispered word of comfort, and every cautious smile exchanged in dim corridors planted the seed of a strength that would carry Audrey far beyond the confines of hardship. As bombs rained over a shattered Europe, Ixelles became a stage of sorrow and secret beauty. Young Audrey would hide in shadowed doorways, her wide eyes absorbing the soft sounds of fear and resilience. It was on a rainy afternoon, when the air smelled of damp concrete and distant smoke, that she first discovered the transformative magic of movement. In a cramped community hall, converted into a makeshift dance studio, Audrey watched as a retired ballet teacher, Madame Claire, moved with the grace of a remembered dream. Madame Claire's gentle voice, warm as summer sunlight, coaxed Audrey to mimic a simple arabesque. In that moment, the raw pain of a broken world was momentarily lifted, replaced by the promise of art's healing power. The rhythm of her tentative steps became a silent vow. No matter the darkness, she would learn to dance in the light. When the echoes of war began to soften, Europe struggled to rebuild not only its cities, but its spirit. Audrey found solace in a small theatre in Paris, a place where every creaking floorboard and whispering curtain held secrets of dreams long deferred. Here, amid the muted chatter of a modest audience, Audrey met Madame Louise, a seasoned actress whose eyes shone with both mischief and sorrow. One chilly evening, in a backstage corner, lit by a single flickering bulb, Madame Louise leaned in and said, "My dear, your eyes speak a language of hope that this world desperately needs." Those words, spoken in hushed reverence, became the spark that set her heart ablaze. On that stage, Audrey poured every shard of her past into each performance. Every hesitant step, every trembling line was an act of both surrender and rebellion. A declaration that she was ready to be seen, to be felt, to transform pain into luminous art. It was a rainy afternoon in a tiny Parisian cafe on the left bank. a refuge from the bustling city. That fate intervened. Audrey, dressed in an elegant yet simple coat, sat quietly scribbling in a battered notebook, her eyes distant with longing. At a nearby table, a man with keen eyes and a disarming smile introduced himself as William Wyler, a director whose films had begun to capture the spirit of a changing world. As rain tapped softly against the window, William watched Audrey intently. "There is a quiet storm in you," he murmured. In that fleeting moment, over steaming cups of coffee and shared glances, he realized that Audrey was more than a pretty face. She was a vessel of raw emotion, a living canvas of untold stories. That day, in the muted warmth of that cafe, the seeds of her Hollywood destiny were sown. The world she was about to enter would be as transformative as the city itself, a place where every sorrow could be reimagined as a note in a beautiful symphony. Audrey's leap to the silver screen was both inevitable and miraculous. In a bustling Los Angeles studio, where the bright glare of set lights fought against the desert dusk, she stepped into a role that would alter the very course of her life. In the intimate details of a rehearsal for Roman Holiday, she sat across from a director whose passion for authenticity burned as fiercely as her own hidden dreams. William Wyler's direction was gentle yet exacting. "Let your heart speak," he urged, as Audrey rehearsed a scene that demanded not just beauty, but vulnerability. The camera captured every nuanced look, the subtle curl of her smile, the deep glisten in her eyes, each frame a testament to a soul that had weathered storms and still found the courage to shine. The applause that followed her debut was not merely for a performance. It was a tribute to the transformation of a girl from war-torn streets into a radiant star who had finally found her place in the light. In the golden aftermath of her breakthrough, Audrey's influence extended far beyond the silver screen. In a sunlit atelier in Paris, she met Hubert de Givenchy, a visionary designer whose understanding of beauty was both poetic and precise. Surrounded by swatches of silk and the delicate scent of freshly cut flowers, Hubert said, "True elegance is not about ornamentation. It is the art of being yourself, untouched by the fleeting trends of time." Together, they crafted an image that was as simple as it was revolutionary. A little black dress that would become a symbol of understated grace. Audrey's style was born of this intimate collaboration, a blend of personal history and timeless design. Each garment, each carefully chosen accessory was a silent declaration of her inner truth, a testament that true beauty is born not from excess, but from authenticity and quiet dignity. As the glitter of Hollywood faded into the background of a life already too full, Audrey felt an inexorable pull toward a higher calling. In the early 1980s, her journey took her far beyond red carpets and film sets, into lands where the light of hope was scarce. In a remote village in a sun-baked corner of Africa, she met Amina, a little girl with eyes that spoke of both pain and possibility. Audrey knelt beside Amina, her voice soft with empathy, and in that moment the world around them seemed to pause. The raw honesty of that connection forged a new path for her, a path dedicated not to fame, but to healing. Her work with UNICEF became an extension of her very being, a daily act of love that transcended borders and languages. Every visit, every shared smile and tear deepened her resolve to give back, to be a beacon of hope for those whose lives had been shadowed by despair. Yet, amid the applause and accolades, Audrey's inner world was a complex tapestry of triumph and quiet sorrow. In the stillness of her private moments, away from the adoration of the public eye, she would sit by a window in a modest hotel room, lost in thought, as dusk painted the sky in hues of lavender and gold. It was in these moments that she remembered the loneliness of her childhood, the weight of expectations, and the bittersweet cost of every success. Her tears, unseen by millions, were as much a part of her as her radiant smile. This interplay of light and shadow was not a flaw, but the very essence of her humanity, a reminder that every shining star carries within it the dark remnants of past struggles. It is this delicate balance that made her art so powerful and her legacy so deeply human.